We're Devil's Den in South Philadelphia, one of the city's iconic beer bars, and we're going to have a beer, discuss Philadelphia food, the roast pork sandwich versus the cheesesteak, and where we need to go to get the ingredients to make our roast pork sandwich.
And we can't talk about cooking with beer without drinking beer. So,
It's true.
cheers to you.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Now for the Philly roast pork sandwich, we're going to have to hit up some rather iconic places around the city.
Gonna have to get some insider information on what makes a roast pork sandwich, what kind of cheese we need, what kind of cut of pork we need, what kind of beer we need to make it special. So now we're sitting down in the yard with Doug. He's gonna be our guide to help us find the right beer for the South Philly roast pork sandwich. So how'd you get your start, Doug?
About 6 years ago, my brother was working here at Gardens, and I started volunteering for beer festivals and coming out to the events that they were having around the city. So I kind of got to know everybody that worked here, and after a few years of that, there was a position available here. They offered it to me, and that was 2.5 years ago now. So I was very fortunate.
How do you think the beer scene in Philadelphia has changed in those couple of years?
I think maybe 6-7 years ago, a lot of the craft beer could only be found at what we would know as the typical craft beer bars around the city. And I think now it's going to transition. A lot of your neighborhood bars or your dive bars are really embracing the craft beer scene, and it certainly is exciting because you can find craft beer almost anywhere in the city now.
All right, so now onto the beer side of things. What do you think you guys have to offer to make the roast pork sandwich the best that it can be?
I think people have tried a few different things. They've tried raw, they've tried USA, but I think the Poor Richard Spruce is probably the best beer that you could pair and use to make the roast pork sandwich. The spruce has a lot of aromatics to it, and we actually put spruce tips in the beer while we're making it. So it has this fantastic aroma and a lot of kind of spices to it. So I think it's one of the beers that works best as a marinade or a brine, and really enhances the flavor of a lot of meats.
Pronounce the roast pork sandwich as the true Philadelphia sandwich?
Yeah, I think that the roast pork sandwich is more true to what Philadelphia is today. Even though the cheesesteak is invented here, I think that its time has come and gone, and we're a roast pork town.
So we're here at PF Giordano's, one of the cornerstones of the Italian market, with my buddy, Gene Giordano. He's been one of 3 brothers?
I am one of 5 brothers, but 3 run the business.
Okay. One of 3 brothers running one of the best produce markets in the Italian market.
I think so. We're the biggest, definitely. We've been going for over 90 years here on the corner of 9th and Washington, and this is my grandparents' place. And I don't know how I ended up here, but I went to college, but I don't know. I do love selling produce, and I think we do have a nice large selection.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I've been using you for at least like 8-9 years
Yeah.
now, and I'm always happy with my product.
Well, you're a hell of a chef, so you would know.
And so, how exactly do the 3 of you deal with each other and coexist without killing each other?
Well, I guess we watched my father and his brothers and sisters before us run the business, and we kind of fed off them. They weren't, in love with each other, but I guess they knew how to work with each other. And
Sometimes that's not.
yeah. I mean, we see each other all day, but we don't see each other much after work, but it's cool. And I don't know. They love me, so it's not like working in an office somewhere where you're just a number.
Yeah. Here today to pick up some produce for a South Philly roast pork sandwich. It's not your bullshit cheesesteak. It's a nice sandwich. You gotta take your time with it. Put a lot of flavor in there.
And you need the perfect ingredients.
We do.
And you have all the perfect ingredients on one block here on 9th Street. So
Excellent.
a perfect piece of bread. Have you guys gone over to Sarco's?
We have not done it there yet.
They make the best bread in the world. I know so. They told me. Nothing complements broccoli roast pork like broccoli rabe. So here's the next bunch of Andy Boy broccoli rabe, the finest name in broccoli rabe.
It's pretty much the only name I've
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
there, to be honest.
There's other names, but they own that name as well. So they are like the Mr. Burns of broccoli rabe.
Excellent.
And a little spice. You gotta burn it up with a little long hot on there, so you know you're alive when you're eating good roast pork sandwich.
All right, well, I know that you're a busy man, so we'll try and get out of your hair. And I want to pick up a little bit of broccoli rabe and a little bit of long hot so we can throw the sandwich together.
Should we do it?
Absolutely.
Pick it, man. I'll get you.
We carry a lot of things that food people love, so I think it's right that it's the first stop for everybody just on their trip here.
Seems appropriate.
Yep.
Alright, so what we're doing today, we're going to be making a roast pork sandwich. We're going to be using the beer in the roasting process instead of chicken stock. Where do you put the roast pork sandwich in comparison to the cheesesteak for Philadelphia food?
So cheesesteak has become the face of Philadelphia food. I don't know. We here consider it more of a tourist food, kind of something to just you have to have when you come to Philly. But we tell everybody that they have to go get roast pork, they have to go get paisanos. Those are really kind of the more Italian Philly sandwiches, not just the cheesesteak. Roast pork works a lot better. You get all the opportunity to add the seasonings in, and the ingredients are a little more up for interpretation. And cheesesteak, you're just slicing steak and throwing it on the grill with maybe a little bit of the seasoning, and you don't really get the time to develop a really kind of warm feeling that you get with the roasting process and the pork.
Throw some fried onions, a little whiz on there, and that's pretty
Yeah,
much
that's
all you got
a that's
for
a
that.
cheesesteak. You get to be have a little more fun with the roast pork.
So yeah, so we're going to be roasting our pork sandwich in the Yard's Tavern Spruce Ale, which they use spruce tips in place of hops, which traditionally they did in hop shortages throughout time. So it's a real nice, kind of herbaceous, floral aroma that pair well with the pork while we roast it. So we want to try to find a sharp local cheese to finish it off with.
Yeah, you need it. That's you get a little bit of pininess from some hops, but that the Tavern Spruce is really different and a little stronger. So I think you're going to want to go with Washington Crossing, which is from Newtown, PA. Ellie Family Farm Products. They do pork and they make a couple cheeses. This is an award winner. Kind of part Parmigiano Reggiano, but melts like an Alpine style and really long finish, and it'll go well. Yeah, I think this is going to be the one for you.
This is good, yeah, it definitely has that sharpness that we need. And I can tell just from the texture it's going to melt really well in the sandwich. That's our guy.
That's your guy.
Awesome, yes, we'll be grabbing a little bit of that.
All right.
And then we'll be on our way. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy day, man.
No problem.
I started with Mark when he had one restaurant, now he's got an empire, so.
Right. Well, word on the street is you are the man to talk to about the pork. Now, we are planning on doing a South Philly roast pork sandwich.
Okay.
We're going to be using Yard's Tavern Spruce as our liquid in the roasting pan.
Okay.
Just give it a little spin.
Yeah.
So, really, what do you think about the Philly roast pork sandwich? You know, everyone knows about the cheesesteak in Philly.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, to me, I love the cheesesteak. Don't get me wrong, I love the cheesesteak. But to me, there's nothing better than a roast pork sandwich. To me, there has to be a couple things. It has to be slowly roasted, sliced thin. In my opinion, you have to have broccoli rabe, you have to have sharp aroma. And some kind of heat. I like to throw maybe some fried long nuts on there, or some kind of like crushed red, dry chili flake. But I mean, come on, it's the quintessential, everybody talks about the cheesesteak, but to me, the roast pork sandwich is
That's the
it's
real
the local,
Philly
yeah.
sandwich. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cheesesteaks, tourists, head out.
I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, but roast pork, what's that?
Nice.
And for me, you gotta have the fried long nuts. To me,
Yeah.
that's, you gotta have that.
We've been hearing that a lot.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah. Well, I guess first things first. If you were to make a roast pork sandwich, what part of the pig would you use?
I would use pork shoulder.
Pork shoulder?
Yeah, I would use pork shoulder.
Nice and tender. Nice
Yeah, I would
and
use bone in. I personally like bone in. I'm not sure what the local guys use. I think they might use bone out, just for like the purpose of being able to slice it easily. But I like to rub it with spices the night before, slowly cook it. Some people like the skin on with a nice fat cap. I actually like the idea of having the skin off of it because I like that crispy, like the meat that gets kind of crispy. I think sometimes if you have that skin, you kind of really can't incorporate it into the sandwich. So I'd like it to be just like a bone in, skin off, a little bit of the fat trimmed off. Pork shoulder. I like to stick a knife into it a few times and then put both garlic cloves into it, rub with salt and pepper, and roast it for like 8 hours. To me, and then you use that liquid, you cool down a bit, slice it, and you pour that liquid over top, and then you put your sandwich in there. Awesome. To me, that's.
Knowing that you work for Mark Vetri, you're the pork guy here in Philadelphia, where do you go to get your pork?
Well, right now, there's only one place I can get my pork from, and that's a guy named Paul at Country Time Farms out in Hamburg, PA. Like I was saying before, the guy's like, he's like my girlfriend. Like, if I even attempt to buy pork somewhere else, he finds out about it and will call me and cry. He shows up my doorstep. Like, I've like done events where people have like, I've done charity events where people have donated other pork from other farms, and I've used that, and they'll come in all upset and crying at me, and so I'm very loyal to Paul.
All right, well, Brad, it's been a pleasure, man.
Thank you.
Wonderful talking to you. I wish you the best of luck with Vetri. I'm sure he's not going to fail anytime soon. So
I hope not. I got 3 kids, man. I got a lot of college to pay for, so hopefully we'll have a long, successful career.
Let's do it.
just pop our beers.
You're gonna do it, right? It's a tasty looking beer, my friend.
Delicious.
So good.
All right, so just gonna get some mirepoix working for our roast pork, and you don't have to cut this small at all. It's gonna be in the oven for 8 to 10 hours. So
Yo, you love rough chops.
it's the way to go, man.
You're a rough chop kind of guy.
Absolutely.
So you don't want me to do anything, cut? Just want me to chill and shit? Like,
Bullshit, man.
I mean, if you're
Talking about
gonna-
beer. Drink.
if you're just gonna sit there and cut, I'll just have a beer and relax. Ah, this is a good fucking beer. Ben Franklin is probably the greatest American.
Definitely up there, man. At least the most productive that we've had in a long time.
It's been a long time.
Was it somewhere around 200 years now?
Probably thereabout. I mean, he loved beer. He loved French horse.
We love the horse.
What bad can you say about the guy? Put all this in.
Yeah.
Drop it.
Alright, so first we're just going to coat all of our pork with mustard. Then we're going to add some of this pickling spice just for a little extra flavor. So I'll do the messy part. So, drop a bunch of mustard on there. Just gonna move it all around. And you want to go pretty heavy with it, so don't be shy. enough pork to feed about 50 or 60 people pretty easily.
Or just us.
Or just us, for days.
We got do a little flip Douglas.
We do. Now, some people like, cut holes in it and insert garlic, shallot, fresh herbs, this, that, and the other thing. I found that with this recipe from a crusty old Italian dude,
The best.
you don't even have to fucking do that. This is more than enough flavor. I think with the Tavern Spruce as well, it's gonna be fucking killer.
Is it spruce time yet?
It's just about spruce time. Just let me wash my hands. Now it's time to add the beer, so let's not be shy.
1 for 2.
1 for 2.
No, that was a no. That was definitely a no.
Note that I'm pouring it on the side of the pork, not directly on it, so that we're not just washing off all this deliciousness.
I mean, we went through all the time to put this delicious pickling spice on. I mean, why? Why wash it away? It's sprucey.
Just a tiny bit on top.
Moisten the top.
Absolutely. Alright, we just need to wrap this bitch and put her in the oven.
Cheers, guy.
Not so hard. Want to do both plastic and foil so you lock in all that moisture. Foil, you're so nasty. It's right in the fucking oven. Preset at 325 because why rush things?
I got nothing but time, guy.
Slow and low. Now we're just gonna cut off the tips.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. And these are just gonna go right in our pot. We got our broccoli raw steaming. And now we just have to roast off our peppers. For that, we're gonna jack our oven up to 500 degrees just to make a nice, easy, quick process.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna take the tops off. You can already smell the heat these guys are gonna have. These are just gonna go right in our pan. Just like that. Then we're gonna just toss it right in the oven. Alright, well, we've been drinking for about 8 hours now, so hopefully our pork is done. I'm just gonna grab that out of the oven. It smells like Christmas for some reason.
It tastes like Christmas.
Christmas in here now. Alright, my friend. It's
Here we
do or
go.
die time. Let's fucking get into this bitch. Personally, I like to jam my shit in there so it wraps all the way around. The butt or the front?
I'll take the ass.
Yes. Thought I was the yes now.
Alright, cheers.
Alright, buddy. Here's to nothing. shit.
It's incredible. We've done well this time. Well,
I think so.
the pork is so juicy and tender. So much of the tavern spruce ale got really sucked up into that. Like you can just taste, you know, a little bit of the sweetness from the molasses. The spruce sprigs really went in there. All the seasoning we put on really came out.
That's a really, really well flavored piece of pork. Super tender, nice and fatty. These long hots are fucking hot, man.
Long hots are not fucking around.
No, not at all. And it's really not a South Philly or a Philly sandwich if you don't have shit all over yourself by the time you're done eating it. There's no polite way to eat a Philly sandwich.
It's so hot. That guy.
You'll regret that later.
It's like, wow. So, you know, I'm lost for words real quick. Yeah, that long hot's creeping now. It wasn't that hot before, but now it's kind of burning the shit out of my mouth.
Yeah, that'll happen. That's what beer's for.
Yeah. Oh man, so we're personally really happy with this sandwich. I think everyone guided us in the right direction between Doug and Rocco and Brad and Gene.
Absolutely.
So now the next step, we're going to take on the rest of this pork to Yard's Brewery, give it out to some people, and see what they think.
Absolutely, man. Nothing like trying it on the public.
Yeah.
Well,
Cheers.
cheers for now. We'll see you at Yards.
It's like, wait, we're at a brewery and there's free pork? That seems like too good to be true. Yeah.
That's what we do. We just try to find the crowd.
It just means you haven't drank enough yet.
Right there.